Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday night, and I always jump on Tuesday nights and do a sketch challenge with you. So I hope you're going to enjoy this one. It's a little bit different. It's a way to use designer series paper, and you're going to use two different sides. So you need to pick a piece of designer series paper that you really like both sides, or maybe you like one more than the other. Yeah, you're going to make two sides. Hey, Catherine. So the sketch has got some triangles in it. I'm actually going to make a fancy fold. And so if you actually joined me a few weeks ago on my Zoom class on Monday nights, you probably have seen this before, but you can use the sketch in different ways. So I'm going to make a fancy fold card, and you can make something different out of the sketch. All right, hello, welcome. All right, so let me switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. Now, I can't help but use the new framed florets or fitting florets suite that launched today. I'm so excited about this suite. So it comes with this amazing stamp set. It comes with dies, and the ovals are back, which is amazing. So these two cut out oval shapes. This one cuts out hearts in an oval shape, but it doesn't actually cut out the oval. These will actually cut out the oval shapes. And then, of course, a lot of, the dies that cut out the stamps, as well as, some leaves and sprigs and things. It's a great new bundle. And then along with it, there is designer series paper. So this is just one piece of the designer series paper. Hey, Betty, one side and the other. And I'm going to use this one. So some smaller flowers, and then this evening evergreen and balmy blue side. And let's see, these are the swirls, gold swirls. And there is a separate stamp set called Festive and I've got it handy. Framed and Festive, I think. So the designer series paper embellishments and that other stamp set will not carry over into the upcoming mini catalog. Only this bundle will. So these are available while supplies last only. So these launched today for everybody. Okay, so this is my sketch. Hello, Darlene. So you can see that there are triangles, and these triangles are actually made by cutting 4 inches by 5 1/4 and then cutting it diagonally. So if you you could cut one piece 4 inches by 5 1/4, cut it diagonally, and then you would have the triangles you need. Now this blue piece, if you could cut a piece, I didn't actually put it on here, probably should have. I'm using a piece of basic white for what would be the inside of the card. But if you were going to do this, you could even cut. If you were going to do this as a sketch, you could, and just layer them, you could cut a piece that was, say, 2 inches by 5 1/4, and then that piece would work. All right, and then of course the oval or a circle. If you don't have these oval shapes or oval dies, you could put a circle or a square in the middle. Okay, now, as I said, I'm going to make this into a fancy fold card. And that's the measurements I actually, when I said to score this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of cardstock. So I'm using polished pink, and you're going to score this at 4 1/4 along the long side and 5 1/2 along the short side. Now this is if you're going to make the fancy fold that I'm going to show you. So then what you want to do is cut away some of these pieces. So I'm going to put this back and line it up with the 4 1/4. And now with my cutting blade, making sure, I'm going to come down and I'm going to cut from the top, this along the 4 1/4 inch line down to the 5 1/2 inch score line. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to put it back. This is the 5 1/2 inch side, or 5 1/2 inch score line. And I'm going to cut down that score line to 4 1/4. So basically, the first thing I'm doing is cutting out this top corner. So you end up with a piece like that. You're not going to use that. Okay. So now what you want to do is cut away. We're going to cut away half of this triangle. So take and line up this point. So this is the side the piece you just cut out. So from that corner, right at the point down to this score line, you're going to cut that off. So you get extra pieces here for sure that you're not really going to use. Okay, so now you've got a piece that looks like this. And now we're going to take and we're going to cut from the center to this point. And we're going to cut that away. So now what you're in with for this fancy fold is a piece that looks like this. So we've got a triangle up here and a triangle here, and then this is actually the back of the card. Hey Monica, welcome. Hey Lynette, great. Okay, so what we now want to do, and when I fold this, I'm going to fold. How do we do this? Sorry, I've got to do it the right way here. You're going to fold this piece down and give it a good burnish. Now, I am folding opposite to what I normally do for my cards when I tell everybody to fold into the mountain. This is kind of not doing that, and then we're going to fold in on that one. So you can see I have this top fold that you fold straight down, and then this piece will fold over. Now, if you look here, you can see, and look at my sketch, you can see I've got this triangle, this, and this. And so I've created that by doing this fold. And so when you, now we're going to decorate it. I'm just going to, the way I've cut, if you ever get little ridges from when you've cut, just take your edge of your bone folder and just run it over these edges, and then they will kind of go back. I don't know if you ever notice when you cut, you end up, and you've got it kind of, I think I must have cut this way on this side, and therefore you get a little bit of a kind of edge that comes up on this side. And so just take your bone folder and rub it. Okay, so you hopefully can see how I ended up with. Now this sketch we'll post, and then of course you can go back to the video and watch how I got to this. But basically I cut it, so I ended up with a piece that looks like that. So now it's a matter of decorating. So I have a piece of designer series paper. Now I'm going to layer, because I decided I really want to layer an extra layer on. So my piece of designer series paper is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. And what we're going to do is we actually are going to cut it diagonally. So we're going to end up with a piece that fits on here, and it'll be cut. And then the other piece of it will fit on here, flipped over. So what you need to do is decide which you want to be on which layer. So I want this flower layer to be on the front. So I'm going to take and cut this diagonally from corner to corner, like that. So I now end up with 2 triangles. Hey, Barbara, welcome. And then these pieces will, as I said, I want this to go on the front. I'm going to put another layer on here because I just want something behind it. And then this piece, of course, doesn't fit, but if you flip it, this piece will now go and fit on that. So you end up with your 2 triangles that will fit on these 2 pieces. Now, like I said, I have got a piece of evening evergreen, and I have cut this. So I just want a peekaboo of the evening evergreen. And I have cut this 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So just a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to take and again cut it in half on the diagonal. and we can layer these two pieces. So this is just a little bit bigger, so you'll just see a peekaboo of the evening evergreen behind my designer series paper, like that. And then the same, if I flip that over, the same with this. Now, probably would have shown up better if it was balmy blue, but because I was using one piece of cardstock. So now I've got my Betty, we made this on a Zoom class one Monday night, so you've definitely seen this before. But I really love this card, and so decided I needed to make it, and so created a sketch out of it. So as I said, if you wanted to just kind of use my sketch, you could do it in similar ways. You would just you could layer them flat instead of creating the fancy fold. You could just cut a piece of designer series paper that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, cut it in half, and you would end up with those two triangles, and then a piece of basic white to layer it behind. So if you don't want to do the fancy fold, you don't have to. You can use the sketch to just do some layering. I love it because you get to use two sides of the designer series paper and show them off on the same card. The DSP cut. The DSP is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4, and it is cut on the diagonal. Cut from corner to corner on the diagonal. And this sketch will post in about 20 minutes time on this Facebook group, as well, Facebook page, as well as on Instagram. So if you want to grab the sketch, and then of course you can go back and watch this video afterwards if I've really confused you by all of this. Hopefully I haven't, because it really isn't that hard of a card to make. Okay, so I've got that piece, and I really want the flower, because the flowers on this designer series paper are just so pretty that I think I want that one to go on the front. So again, I'm just going to take some liquid glue. You could use Stamp & Seal or whatever your favorite adhesive is. Maybe you use some Tear and Tape adhesive, which works too. Okay, so we're just going to layer this on. We'd end up with just a peekaboo of the polished pink. Now, when I use liquid glue, I always kind of hold it in place with a finger, because one of the advantages of liquid glue is that you get some wiggle room, but one of the disadvantages is also that you have some wiggle room. And so when I'm layering or laying on my pieces, I always try and kind of hold it with at least one finger as I get it into position, so that it doesn't shift too much. Okay, so there's kind of the front of my card, and it looks pretty close to this sketch. Okay, now here's my piece of basic white. Again, this is just a piece that's going to go on the inside of the card. I'm going to do some stamping on there in just a minute, so I'm not going to adhere that. So that will layer like that, and there's my third triangle on this. Oh, this paper is so pretty. Yes, this is the paper. It will. I don't think it's going to last. So if you really love this suite and you want some extra paper, and the embellishments, these gold swirl embellishments are so pretty. Okay, so now let's see what I've got. I went ahead and cut one of these shapes. This is just a sprig, and I cut it out of Evening Evergreen. One of the stamps, or one of the dies, cuts from that piece of designer series paper that I showed you. There is a die that will cut. I think it's this one. I have to get it right. So it will cut some of these flower shapes out of here, but you can actually fussy cut these as well. So it's really nice when they give you the dies to cut it out, but just go ahead and fussy cut. That works too. All right, let's just poke those out. And then I cut one of the, where's my dies? Oh, here they are. Okay, so I said there are oval dies. So this oval die has little kind of slits in it. Oh yeah, that's good, Betty. And it cuts out a oval shape with a center cut out, as well as a middle piece. So I actually cut this out of basic white. So I ended up with 4 pieces. I ended up with the basic white outside ring and a basic white inside oval, and then I cut it out of polished pink. So I'm actually going to layer these two, and now I've got the opposite though, the pink and then the white for another card. The same with this one. We'll cut the oval inside as well as the outside shape. This one just cuts the hearts in the shape of an oval. It's really pretty if you layer it. So I love the fact that we now have ovals back, because we haven't had ovals for a little bit of time. So it's nice that we have the ovals back. So what I'm going to do with my oval is I only want to adhere the oval to the front flap. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer my oval like this. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and then I'm going to layer the oval and put it on this front flap. And then I'm going to decorate it, put some flowers around it. And so that's going to be my card. So let's get the rest of it finished. So I am going to make this into a birthday card, because I love this sentiment that says wishes for a beautiful birthday. And it's really a nice big, I'm stamping this in evening evergreen like that on the polished pink. So I'm going to pop this up using dimensionals. So when you adhere it, make sure, so kind of get it into position, and you only want to put your dimensionals down about a third of the kind of bottom, and it's not even, it's kind of on an angle. So let's make sure I have this. So this side down. So we'll get some dimensionals on here, and then just make sure it's kind of roughly in the right spot. Yeah, it is. I could probably do with a dimensional in the middle, or kind of in the middle of these 4. So again, you're only putting your dimensionals so that it adheres to this bottom flap. You don't want this to stick to the whole thing. Otherwise, you won't be able to open your card. So now I've got that piece, and it will open my card. Now, this is going to also kind of go around the oval. Now, you can do 2 things. I could just adhere this flat, which kind of looks kind of cool. Or you could take some of these are the adhesive foam strips. Now, these I think came from a paper pumpkin or something, a kit. They come long. They are 9 1/4 inches long. So I often cut this into 3. So I'm working with shorter pieces. These were a great length that came. And so I'm just going to take, and now I'm going to pop this up. And the reason I'm using these is, 1, they're narrow enough to go around, but 2, I can kind of manipulate them into this oval shape. And I only want this to be popped up around here. So I'm just going to kind of mark this with my finger roughly, and we'll start. And so this is fairly easy to kind of manipulate into an oval shape. So just kind of move it around, press it down, and you will be able to end up with the foam, so that it can be popped up around. Now, I might need a little bit more. So it's good to there, and it only goes. So I think I just need maybe an inch more. So just take this and cut an inch. And let's figure out. Okay, so this, I want to make sure, I think it's this side. So we're just going to take and put the rest of that. So if you use the longer ones, you wouldn't have to piece it, but because I have these shorter ones that I'm using. All right, so we're just going to take this now and layer it around the oval and then press down. So now I've got both the polished pink piece popped up as well as my oval, and they are kind of free floating here, and that's okay. Now if I want this to lay down flat, I'm just going to go back in with my bone folder. It's quite thick. You've got 2 layers of cardstock and then designer series paper, so really give it a good workout with your bone folder, and hopefully you'll get it laying fairly flat. If it really bothers you, you could put ribbon that you untie, or you could put a belly band on it, but we're just going to leave it like that, and hopefully it'll flatten out in the mail. Now, I cut this pretty flower here, so we're just going to put this down like that, and I cut out this piece here, so it's going to go behind. That's my plan anyway. So there we go. I think I'm going to do it something like that. So I'm just going to take and put some liquid glue on the back of this. Not a lot, just a little bit of liquid glue. And we'll adhere this to the oval. Now this piece is going to get adhered to the oval, plus I want to use some dimensionals because it needs to pop up a little bit. And I'm just going to put the dimensionals along the bottom. What I do find is that I think that the height of the foam strips is a little higher than the dimensionals, so I'm going to double up on these dimensionals by putting 2 layers, just because I think the foam strips is a little higher, you know, and then I want a little bit of glue. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue on there. And so we can, yeah. So I think that the foam strips are a little higher than the dimensionals, so I've doubled up on the dimensionals. Okay, now I think this needs some of these gold adhesives, but I also think it needs a bow. So I've got some of the Evening Evergreen open weave ribbon. So I'm just going to tie a little bow. Like that. And then cut my bow. So and I'm going to put my bow right up here, kind of like a frame. Bit of an old-fashioned frame where you have a bow at the top, but I think it'll look pretty up there. So we'll just take and attach this right up here. And then we'll take and put some of these gold embellishments. So I don't think you can see, but they do have a, well, probably can't, maybe. I don't know if you can see that. They're called gold swirl because they actually do have a little swirl on them. They're really pretty. I love the fact that we have some gold embellishments again. Okay, let's do one up there, I think. Like that. And then the last thing I need to do, I think this is the piece. Yes. Okay, so I don't want to stamp where you can see. So I'm kind of going to stamp down here in the corner. And I'm just going to take and stamp one of these little flowers from the stamp set. And we'll just stamp this in the bottom left corner. I don't typically stamp in the left. I tend to stamp always to the right side. I don't know, maybe my eye goes there. But we're just going to stamp that so that there's something on the inside of the card. And this can go on the inside. Now, there is a little celebrate stamp. So I don't often stamp sentiments on the inside, but I'm just kind of feeling like this one needs. So it says wishes for a beautiful birthday. And then on the inside, let's stamp celebrate like that. And I think if I did it right, it will be hidden when you close the card. And I did. There we go. So there is a birthday card featuring the fitting florets. And again, this is like my sketch. So if you don't want to go to the work of doing a fancy fold, although I have to say this is pretty easy fancy fold once you figure out what to cut. So you end up taking an 8.5 by 11 and getting a piece, cutting it so it looks like this. So go back and watch the video if you decide you want to do the fancy fold. Otherwise, just take this and cut a piece of designer series paper that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. Cut it in half diagonally, and you'll end up with the 2 triangles. And then you can put some basic white behind it. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you will be able to do something with this sketch because I really love it. And I hope you do too. Yeah, Darlene, you really need to order this. Gosh, it's such a pretty suite. And I am really afraid that it is going to sell out. The designer series paper and those embellishments are just absolutely stunning. And so if you want it, so that you're not disappointed, I would suggest you order it sooner than later. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Now, I will be live again on Thursday night at 6:30 Pacific. And then that will be I will be alive. Thanks, Darlene. There will be recordings. I'm pre-recording while I'm away. I'm heading to Vienna for Stampin' Up! On Stage on Friday morning. I'm so excited. And so I have some recorded videos for you. So the sketch challenge for the next 2 weeks after tonight are pre-recorded, and hopefully, fingers crossed, if technology works, we'll go live. And then I have a technique for you scheduled to go live on the 10th, I think is the date. So stay tuned on a Tuesday and Thursday. The rest of the time, I normally go live Saturday and Sunday. I won't be going live. And of course, I won't be having my Zoom class on Monday nights. But sketch challenge on Tuesday and my technique on the Thursday will be live. Now, I will be back from Vienna on the 16th. And so I will be back live on the 16th with a mystery challenge for you. So I hope you'll join me then. I will absolutely post pictures. So if you follow me on my Facebook group or on Instagram, I definitely will be posting pictures of Vienna. I am so excited to be able to go. And I'm sitting here, I have a pile of stuff behind me getting ready to pack. And just before, I was looking for my power adapter for Europe. And I know I have some power adapters, but do you think I can find them? So yes, I definitely have to do some packing, and I definitely will stay healthy. I will be wearing a mask the entire time and through the conference as well. I just don't want to take the chance of getting sick over there. So anyway, enjoy the recorded videos, leave comments. I will look at the comments afterwards and reply. And I hope that you have a great evening, and thanks for joining me, everybody. Happy stamping. Bye.